First of all, you see, I have to say, I always ask God, but He give me always more than what I ask. Alhamdulillah. I training so hard for this moment. All my life, when I was kid, I preparing for that moment. This my belt for my coach, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. Many years ago, he told me, just training hard and you gonna be champion.
Islam Makhachev is looking like a true beast ahead of his welterweight title fight against Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 322. The lightweight champion has been showing off his incredible strength and conditioning, grappling intensely on a beach as part of his final preparations. Fans are already buzzing after seeing his massive size and sharp technique, signaling that he's more than ready to make a statement in his welterweight debut.
Sleep. رقد يسلي اطلع ابو خالد عقه تحت عقه down on the floor. ايوه لا تميت ساند طلعت روح خلاص جيم اوفر الحين.
Islam Makhachev revealed that his training camp is in full swing and going well. He acknowledged Jack Della Maddalena as a tough opponent, emphasizing that every UFC champion poses a serious threat. Makhachev said he's fully focused on this fight and expects to be in peak condition by mid-November when they face off for the welterweight title.
Хабиб анонсировал твой бой против Маддалены за титул в полусреднем весе. И расскажи, как проходит твоя подготовка и видишь ли ты опасность в нем?
Подготовка проходит хорошо, только начали. Как раз только говорил, что на сборах были 3 недели, приехали. Опасность, конечно, если человек чемпион на какой-то вес, особенно у нас в организации, там таких проходных не бывает. Так что подхожу с максимальной ответственностью к этому бою и думаю, буду к середине ноября в хорошей форме.
Meanwhile, Beneil Dariush believes Islam Makhachev's goal of becoming a two-division champion will eventually be achieved, but he predicts that JDM could have the advantage if they meet at UFC 322. He points to JDM's size and outstanding cardio as potential factors, and admits he could be wrong, though he leans toward favoring JDM in the fight.
Islam versus JDM, do you still favor Islam in that matchup?
I'm going to lean now towards JDM. I feel like the size will make a difference. Cardio-wise, JDM has great cardio. Maybe I'm wrong, but so I just feel like JDM.
Michael Bisping believes there is a genuine chance Jack Della Maddalena could shock the world at UFC 322. He highlights Jack's size, elite boxing, and strong takedown defense as major assets against Islam Makhachev. Bisping adds that Jack appears to be performing at his absolute peak right now and thinks there is a real possibility he walks away from the fight still holding the belt.
So Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena, that has been announced, but I'll tell you what, Jack Della Maddalena is bigger. He showed that he can stop takedowns. On the feet, there's absolutely no question. Jack Della Maddalena is on another level. He's probably got the best, cleanest boxing in the UFC. It wouldn't surprise me if we see an upset here and Jack Della Maddalena is still the champion at the end of the day.
Jack Della Maddalena's coach, Ben Vickers, expressed complete confidence that Islam Makhachev will struggle against Jack's striking. He compared Makhachev to Bilal Muhammad, noting that Islam doesn't have the same ability to absorb heavy shots. Vickers emphasized that Jack poses a knockout threat throughout the fight, and his combination of power and cardio could be a decisive factor.
I just don't think Islam has the chin that Bilal has.
You feel like it's a situation where this is going to be an eventual down the line, like third, fourth round, or do you think people might even be shocked to see it happen earlier on?
we know for a fact if Jack clips someone clean on the chin, they can go over. So it could happen in the first minute, it could happen in the 24th minute, it could happen in the 24 minute 59 seconds, it could happen 3 rounds in. Jack likes long fights, you know, he likes to be in there, but obviously we're not getting paid for overtime, so if the opportunity arises, we're happy to take it. But Jack's cardio, as we saw, Bilal's reputedly the best like cardio in the UFC, and Jack out cardioed him. Bilal was more tired than Jack towards the end of the fight. So you know, Jack's cardio is exceptional, his power is exceptional, and yeah, I like the fight, I really do.
Ben Vickers shared his views on Islam Makhachev's move to welterweight, noting that although Islam is strong, Jack Della Maddalena has the edge in size and striking power. He suggested that years spent at lightweight could make the transition challenging, potentially impacting Islam's speed, stamina, and movement. Vickers admitted that even with proper adjustment, it's uncertain how well Makhachev's style will translate against a natural welterweight.
It's going to be fascinating to see what Islam looks like at this weight class. What do you think? Do you think a lot of his power, a lot of his strength translates to the division with Jack?
It's so hard to tell, to be honest. He's a big dude. He's a good fighter, you know. Jack's bigger. Jack's probably stronger. He's got more power on the feet. But I don't know what kind of fighter he's going to be. What I do know is that as a fighter who's fought at 70 his whole career, this is going to be his first time in a very competitive matchup at welterweight, and it's different. It's a different, you know, it's going to be different for him. He's carrying more weight, and obviously he's had months now to prepare for this and get used to carrying the weight, but he's been fighting at lightweight for a decade. You know, so to then move up a weight class, it is different. And I don't know how that's going to affect his gas tank, his ability to move as well.
On the contrary, Merab Dvalishvili expressed confidence that Islam Makhachev can become a 2-division champion by beating Jack Della Maddalena. He recognized JDM's striking but described Makhachev as smart and adaptable. Merab expects Islam to study Belal Muhammad's fight with JDM and adjust his strategy, and while he admitted it would be a challenging fight, he believes Makhachev will ultimately win and secure his second title.
You mentioned Islam, he's moving up to 170. Do you think that he gets the job done and wins that title, or do you think JDM retains?
It's gonna be hard for him, but it's possible to Islam Makhachev wins the second belt. JDM is great fighter, great striker, but Islam is tricky. He has a good wrestling, and he's southpaw. He don't get hits, but he takes people down and he mauls people down. So, and also we all see the JDM Belal Muhammad's fight, and then I'm sure Islam will take lots of lessons from this fight, and maybe Islam will make some adjustment. It's possible, it's gonna be hard, but Islam can win the second belt.
Dan Hardy shared his thoughts on Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena, recalling that he praised JDM's striking years ago while Francis Ngannou was preparing for boxing. He noted that JDM's stand-up skills still impress him, and turning to Makhachev, Hardy believes the move to welterweight is perfectly timed, allowing Islam to let his body develop naturally rather than restricting himself, which makes him even more dangerous.
Islam, he's moving up to 170. He's going to be fighting JDM for that title. Do you think he gets the job done, or how do you see the fight playing out?
Man, I've been high on JDM for a long time. You know, I remember doing interviews back when Ngannou was crossing over to boxing, and people were talking about who's got the best hands in MMA, and I was saying JDM at the time. I mean, his boxing's always impressed me. But at this point, I feel like Islam's moving up a weight class at the right time. You know, there are a lot of fighters that stay in a weight class for too long, and they seem to kind of stifle their physical growth. I don't think Islam can stay healthy and stay in that lightweight division for any longer, and I think right now he's allowed himself to move into a division where his body's just going to grow into it. He's going to be incredibly powerful.
Dan Hardy further talks about this matchup, noting that Makhachev's well-rounded skills pose serious challenges for any opponent. He sees the striking as fairly even, with Islam having a slight advantage through his kicks. Hardy expects the wrestling and grappling to take over as the fight progresses, likely resulting in a submission finish in the later rounds.
Islam's all-round game is so problematic for any single fighter. I see him taking it, and I can see him probably a 50-50 striking exchange, Makhachev winning with a kicking advantage, but then he's grappling and his wrestling taking over, probably winning by sub in the championship rounds.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Javier Mendez reacts to Islam Makhachev being labeled a favorite over Jack Della Maddalena by downplaying the significance of betting odds. He emphasized that the fight would be much closer than people think and cautioned against underestimating any opponent. Mendez explained that he refuses to overlook JDM's skills, viewing the matchup as nearly even, with only a small advantage leaning toward Islam.
I don't believe those odds. I'm sorry. It's a lot tougher fight than what the odds are saying. I'm not going on that. You get caught up with that stuff. You know, that's when it could go bad. Just think about the people that were like 15 or 20 to 1, and all of a sudden they go out there and get their butt kicked. You know, underestimating their opponent. You know, it's dumb. I'm not underestimating this guy. If anything, it's a 1% advantage for us type fight. That's the way I want to look at it.
Javier Mendez described Islam Makhachev as a disciplined fighter who doesn't rely on extra motivation but simply listens, executes, and delivers results. He noted that Islam's steady improvement continues to impress him and addressed the frequent comparisons to Khabib Nurmagomedov. According to Mendez, while both share the same foundation, their styles and personalities differ significantly. He added that Islam has his own unique charm and sense of humor, which gives him a distinct identity apart from Khabib.
Islam has always been, the kind of fighter that you just wind them up, tell them what to do, and let them go. And that's exactly what's happening here. You know, he does his own. You don't need to motivate him. You just need to tell him what you want, and he'll go out and do it. I'm very happy to see the progress he's making, because I do see it, and he's a different kind of guy. As you notice, him and Khabib, they're different. Islam isn't Khabib. Khabib isn't Islam. So a lot of the characteristics of what they do or what they don't do, they're different, but they're also very funny in their own way. Islam's got some really funny sayings that really catch on, but they're different approach. They're not the same kind of approach.
Former UFC champion Robert Whittaker analyzed the upcoming fight and leaned toward Jack Della Maddalena. He believed Jack's toughness and endurance would help him handle Islam Makhachev's relentless wrestling style. Whittaker noted that if the fight stays on the feet, Jack's striking could make the difference. He also suggested that Islam might approach his grappling with more caution this time, recognizing that Jack remains dangerous even from the bottom.
I'm going to go Jack. I think Jack has that X factor. I think he has the gut, the grit, the determination to fight the takedowns, to fight the ground, the takedown attacks that Islam is going to go for. And I think in a striking fight, straight up, Jack is better. I think he wins in the hands. Yeah. I think Jack's got the better game to strike over 5 rounds than Islam does as well, especially if Islam is trying to go for takedowns during the fight. Yeah. I think, and this is people sleep on Jack's grappling game. They sleep on his jiu-jitsu. I don't think Islam is going to be as gun-ho with the takedowns as everybody believes, because Jack has that level of offense off his back.
Nick Barnhill also believes Jack Della Maddalena's style could finally give Islam Makhachev the kind of challenge fans have long wanted to see. He argues that Makhachev's lightweight run hasn't received the recognition it deserves, not due to his performances, but because of the lofty standards set by Khabib before him. Barnhill notes that frequent opponent withdrawals and short-notice replacements made Islam's title reign appear less impressive than it truly was.
I really think that Jack Della Maddalena has the perfect style to combat Islam, and moreover give us what we've wanted out of an Islam Makhachev fight for years now, which is a competitive fight. Yeah, Islam, it was really unfortunate for him because his entire legacy as 155 champion is a bit tarnished, and it's not from anything he did, but because of our expectations and how good he is and the footprint that Khabib laid and then he had to follow. It felt very quickly that once he got the belt, there was a big gap in skill between him and everybody else. And then with a couple things like fallouts happening, Arman Tsarukyan, pulling out like a day before the event, him having to fight Renato Moicano instead. All of those types of things made Islam's career at 155 feel diminished and not as epic as it truly was. So this to me is exactly where Islam needed to go with his career if he wanted to get the respect and the legacy that he's been trying to build since he, had dreams of the UFC.
Meanwhile, Johnny Walker views Islam Makhachev's jump to welterweight as an exciting new chapter in his career. He praises Islam's toughness, composure, and technical precision, noting that those qualities will serve him well against larger opponents. Walker feels confident that Makhachev will adapt quickly and prove successful in his new division.
Islam, he's going to be moving up to 170 from 155 to fight JDM for that title. Who do you favor in that fight?
I think Islam. Yeah, he's been a really tough fight and incredible technique for the last all his career, no? And I believe he still can get it. But as I said, it's a new division, new body type, new power, everything. It's moving up. It's a big testing for him, but I believe he can do good too.
Similarly, Terrence McKinney believes many fans underestimate how much Islam Makhachev's durability could increase at welterweight without the weight cut. He predicts Islam's grappling will become even more dominant and expects the fight to be closer than most anticipate. McKinney envisions a competitive 5-round battle, with Makhachev narrowly securing a 3-2 decision to become a 2-division champion.
People think his chin's gonna be much better. He's not drained. Like, I think he's gonna be stronger once he hits the ground. I think it's gonna be a closer fight than people think, but I can see Islam definitely winning 3 rounds to 2 and becoming a double champ.
Colby Covington sided with Islam Makhachev in the matchup against Jack Della Maddalena. He acknowledged that while Islam may not be the bigger man, his all-around skill set makes him a serious threat. Covington explained that if Makhachev can bring Jack to the ground and maintain control, the momentum of the fight would swing heavily in his favor. Although he admitted the size difference makes things interesting, Covington ultimately leaned toward Islam to get the job done.
Islam versus JDM. What do you make of that? Islam moving up to now welterweight.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I'm excited to see how it goes. You know, Islam, is a lightweight. He's going to be a little smaller in the fight, but he's a well-rounded fighter. So, if he's able to take down JDM and control him, he could definitely get the job done. But it's going to be interesting to see how the size advantage plays a difference in the fight.
Who do you favor?
I mean, I seen the odds were pretty big. They favored Makhachev like 3-1. So I guess I got to go with the odds if they're going 3-1. But just because JDM doesn't have good takedown defense, but you never know. It's a fight, and JDM has some good hands, so it should be an exciting fight for the fans.
Craig Jones believes Islam Makhachev could be facing one of the toughest challenges of his career, and he referenced Makhachev's first fight with Alexander Volkanovski, noting that the scrambles in that bout revealed areas where Islam could be tested. Jones added that Jack Della Maddalena might present an even greater threat due to his unorthodox grappling style and unpredictable grip-breaking techniques.
It's a super difficult fight for Islam, this one. He's like, obviously he's faced Volk twice. We'll forget about the second one, but the first one, very competitive with the grappling. And now we're talking about he's facing a guy that's some of the best scrambling ability, I think, period, in all of MMA, and some of the most unorthodox grappling. And I think that's what Belal struggled with. Belal really just sticks to a blueprint. The blueprint obviously works.
Craig Jones also highlighted Jack Della Maddalena's creativity, explaining that it makes him far less predictable than structured fighters like Belal Muhammad. He mentioned that Jack's size adds another layer of difficulty for his opponents, and Jones believes the matchup has all the elements of an explosive, stand-up driven fight. Exactly the kind of clash the UFC would be eager to showcase.
What Belal does, I think it's pretty strict. Jack, as you saw in that fight, some of his off balances and grip breaks and some of the things he does, it's really hard to prepare for that. So I think like Islam, the size difference is going to be quite a lot bigger than people think. And we've seen how Volk did on the ground and how much Islam struggled with him in the grappling exchanges. And having seen Jack and Volks work together, seeing the skill sets, like this is a perfect one. The UFC want guys that stand and bang. I'm trying to still help him out, even though potentially enemies.
Luke Rockhold described Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena as a tough yet thrilling matchup. He named Islam, Ilia Topuria, and JDM as 3 of the fighters he enjoys watching most in the UFC right now. While acknowledging Jack's solid wrestling skills, Rockhold believed Makhachev's extensive grappling background gave him the advantage. However, he also noted that Jack's size could play a crucial role as Islam transitions to welterweight. Having trained with Makhachev personally, Rockhold said he noticed the size difference firsthand and is eager to see how that dynamic unfolds in fight night.
Do you see him beating JDM to win that welterweight title?
It's a tough fight. That's a very tough fight. It's going to be interesting. I think those are my 3 favorite fighters in the UFC right now. We go Islam, Topuria, and JDM. He's fun to watch. So, I mean, that's going to be a great fight. He's no slouch at wrestling, but you have a guy that's wrestled his whole life and grappled his whole life versus JDM. He's kind of like, he's secondary on that, but you never know. he's a bigger guy. So, you know, we'll see how Islam, how he bulks up and how he looks. He looks a lot bigger than what I remember. I used to train with him forever. So I mean, he's definitely grown. You know, we'll see how he carries the weight.
On the other hand, Ian Gary admitted that predicting the outcome of Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev is difficult. He praised Islam for being one of the most complete fighters in the sport, but noted that moving up 15 pounds to welterweight could make a difference. Gary highlighted the clear size gap between Jack and Islam's previous opponent, Alexander Volkanovski, who still managed to test him. He added that Jack's crest boxing and strong takedown defense could be key factors.
Who do you think wins, Jack or Islam?
It's such a tough one to talk about. Islam is phenomenal. He's good everywhere. Size matters. When you're talking about an extra 15 pounds, when you look at the size of Volkanovski versus Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big size discrepancy. And Volk gave him a good fight. And then Dustin Poirier, it wasn't absolutely completely dominant by Islam. It was a tough fight. Size is going to play a huge part. Even on the ground, I feel like Jack could get it done with just some clean boxing and good takedown defense. But I can absolutely see Islam coming in and doing what Islam does and going out there and just looks like the phenomenal mixed martial artist he is.
And that's a wrap for today's video. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Share your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out our other videos on the screen right now.